the main bank out here in Puerto Rico, one of the main ones, Banco Popular. Right here is like baked potatoes. They be good as hell. Well, I don't know, but they smell good as fuck. And the other stand I seen like that was in Paseo de Diego, which is near where I live at. But that's the other one I seen, and it kind of makes me think like it's kind of a part of the same company because the sign is exactly the same as the one I seen in Paseo de Diego. But yeah, so right now this is like a plaza right here, and it has Sally's Beauty, Little Caesars, Mesalve, which is kind of like rainbow. Plaza Luisa is like just like a regular supermarket. I'm low-key want to go there, but I'm like, do I really need to? Like I said, some of the best food come from right at these stands. This is a 24-hour bakery, and that's the first 24-hour bakery I've seen, which is fucking phenomenal. Like, to me, this is a good area to live in because it's like clean and it's still very city, and it has a lot of things going on, a lot of different food places that stay up late, you know. And it's, yo, I really fucking hate pigeons, yo. Like, just imagine like each one of them got a camera, like and be like trying to peep and see what's going on. Anyway, y'all probably like conspiracy theorists, but anyway, this is the area like that is like on the way to the Section 8 office. And like I've kind of seen like a pattern with certain things, like and out here, right, the schools are like a particular green color, like not this subway green, but like a teal green, like when green mixed with a little bit of blue. When it's like that, the building, and it has like a basketball court on the outside with a little rooftop, whatever, that's how I know it's a school. When it's a Section 8 office or something like that, it's usually things that lead up to the Section 8 office. So you kind of, in a sort of way, know that it's nearby, in a sense of like there's a lot of city things going on. Like, so you see how there's a parking garage right here. There's this Akai Express bowl place, which is pretty popular out here. There's Claro, which is a popular phone company. Subway, the plaza we just passed, and like it's just like certain things or whatever. Like in Mayagüez, the housing office is also in an area that's, I mean, it's not like city like this where it's a lot going on and stuff like that. Well, it is a lot going on, as far as like more going on than the rest of the parts of the city. Then like it's city for that particular city, but it's not like city, you know what I'm saying? But this is one of the popular places to go. Every single fucking thing is good as hell. And it's the same one that is near Isla Verde, which is like if you come to Puerto Rico, you more than likely gonna go to that beach. It's Isla Verde, which is like right near the airport and across from the skate park. And I think it's called Santa Maria skate park, is that same Akai Express bowl place. And near Akai Express bowl places, it be dispensaries. So that probably says little greenhouse or greenhouse, because casa is house, and when it has ita, that means like little, like, and then verde is green. So that's kind of how I came to that conclusion. But yeah, I really like this particular area because it's a good mixture of like really city, like Carolina or like near the airport, where tourists and stuff like that, but it's not, this is not a tourist area though. And then also similar to Rio Piedra, like the sweet potato food truck stand I just passed is the same one in Paseo de Diego. The Acaibo spot is the same one as Carolina near the airport tourist area or whatever. So it's like a good mixture of both, but it's like in Carolina, like near the tourist spot near the airport, the housing office isn't necessarily real close to there or nothing like that. But so this area is like a mixture of all of those different things. I don't know what city this is though. Part of me thinks it's Guaynabo, but I'm not really sure. But yeah, so the area where I live, Rio Piedra, is when you get right here, you basically turn this way. Oh, actually no you don't, you go straight. And this street is a kind of weird a little bit, so you got to make sure you pay attention to everything that's going on. But yeah, it's kind of weird because it's like part of me can't tell if people coming up this way, but obviously they're not because you see which way the highway is. But this bridge is a similar bridge, like it looks exactly the same as far as like these shapes and these X's and the circle and shit, and where it's a bridge where it's like on one side is the housing office and then on the other side the environment and the neighborhood starts to change. That's the same thing as in Rio Piedra. Well, I think this is still, I don't know if this is still considered Rio Piedra, but anyway, like where I live at Rio Piedra, there's another housing office over there, but I guess for what I need for housing, it's not the one I will go to. But there's another housing office over there, and it's split by a bridge. So on one side is the housing office, and where you can get food stamps, and it kind of leads to like the beach or whatever, like Isla Verde, if you keep going and keep going. But on the other side of that same bridge is the university and Rio Piedra, which is like one of the, I don't really know how to describe it, but it's like a very, very urban neighborhood, and like where Paseo de Diego is at, which is pretty popular, and you know, different stuff like that. But I would say the main emphasis for one of the main emphasis in Paseo de Diego that's different than this area and that's different than Isla Verde, like Carolina, is that in Rio Piedra, Capetillo, Paseo de Diego, all of that, there is so much drugs. Like there's so many drugs. Like everybody, well not everybody, but a lot of people are doing all these different kind of drugs or whatever. And but it's also where a lot of people skate. It's also where a lot of people spend a lot of time outside. Like the neighborhood where I just came from, it wasn't a lot of people outside, but it was very city. It had all the plaza stuff and everything like that. So like in Rio Piedra, it's like a lot of people are walking around, a lot of people are driving, a lot of people are in their businesses or whatever. But like in the neighborhood I just came from, it's like more people are driving and more people are inside of their buildings, not as many people are outside. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, and there's just a lot of different, okay, so you see this green right here, that green house, a little bit darker than that is like the kind of green I was talking about before when I said if it's a particular green, that's how you know it's a school. That's the kind of green, but a little bit darker or whatever. And so that also sets the tone and changes the vibe of the neighborhood if there's a school that's nearby, because you know at a certain time it's going to be a lot of people outside because the kids are getting out of school, or they on their way to the school, or you feel me, something like that. Or yeah, so like where I live at, it's a school nearby. It's like a elementary and middle school, but it's not the kind of school I just explained where I said if it's this particular green, that's how you know it's a school. So there are some schools that have that and some that don't or whatever. So like the neighborhood where I live at, it's like you cross the street. It's like Paseo de Diego is like 2 minutes away from where I live at, and across from Paseo de Diego is a school or whatever. And I think it's like a specialized school, like it's a certain kind of school where I don't know, but it's like a certain kind of school. And then if you keep going, there's another school that's like that kind of green I was just talking about or whatever. But one thing I noticed too about Puerto Rico is that like there are a lot of things that are in English, and people like may say some English words and not even know Spanish. Like you might think because they say certain words that's English in a sentence that they might know English, but no, like it's just like how things like for instance, that says barber, right? But like the word in Spanish for barber is like barberia or something like that. Like you feel me? But it still says like this says new hair, but like hair is like bello, or the other word I can't remember right now. You get what I'm saying? So it's like a mixture of different things. And there's just a lot of things that I learned and a lot of things that I peeped. And you know how like Jupiter is like the planet that deals with like you experience, and then based off of your experience you're able to extract knowledge, and so now you have wisdom that like where you can go to certain places in certain environments that you might have been through before, but you have a different awareness than you had before based off of the experiences and things that you learned. So this trip, this whole day, what I'm showing, this is the second time I've walked from Rio Piedra, where I live at, to the housing office that's, I think, Guaynabo. No, I don't think it's Guaynabo. I don't know, but it's basically an hour walking away from where I live right now, but driving is probably like 10, 15, 20 minutes. So right here is where you can see the name of like the neighborhoods or whatever. So like this one says Urbanización Villa Nevares, right? That pronunciation could be off, but it's fine. And so you see how the sign is like clean and it looks like kind of nice and new, like someone just painted it or whatever. Okay, so you can see on this side where it says Bienvenidos Urbanización Jardines Metropolitano, and then that's the man with the speaker, big ass speaker, and then across from that is a different, so I bet it's basically saying that way is a certain neighborhood, that way is a certain neighborhood, but this way is a different neighborhood. So when it says like Urbanización, when you write or type out your address, you will put like, or if you're filling out a particular document where you have to put the exact address, then you would I always thought this was cool too. I seen it the last time, Panaderia, but it's Colombia, and I don't really see different places that are from other Latin or whatever countries in Puerto Rico. Like I usually see a lot of emphasis of Dominican Republic, the United States, and Puerto Rico, but I don't really see like Peruvian or Salvadorian, or yo, he got the best fucking speaker in the world, yo. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, and this is like a famous, like a infamous coffee, Yaucono or whatever. Like it's like a popular coffee you see a lot at different supermarkets and stuff like that. But anyway, so this area I'm walking through now is like this is the kind of environment or place where like, okay, you see how I'm walking in the street, right? Where I live at, and I will always walk in the street. It don't matter, like if it's a sidewalk, if it's not a sidewalk, if whatever, I always walk in the middle of the street. And that's for several reasons. Like one reason is because like the sidewalk is really close to people's house, and people be having dogs and shit and animals and shit, like, you feel me? And like out here especially, like, these dogs do not play. Like, if they ain't smell you before, if they ain't seen you before, they're gonna ask you questions like, what you doing here, what's your purpose, what's your point, fuck you doing on my block. Like, the dogs were really asking them type of questions. So, like, you know, I just be in the middle or whatever, because I'm just like, you know, I don't want to be surprised by no fucking dog jumping out there. Just imagine you right here and a fucking dog jump out this shit and start asking you questions and shit. But that's not the reason why I started walking in the street, but that's one reason of why I'm just like, I feel more comfortable in the middle of the street anyway, even though it be cars and shit like that. Like, people who drive cars all the time, they might think like, why the fuck do people walk in the street? Like, you feel me? But it really be, it's a method to the madness. It'd be a lot of different reasons of why people be walking in the street and stuff like that. But another reason is because like, let's say at night or whatever, like, the lights are on you feel me? So like, if it's other people outside walking too, it could be harder to see those people if they're not in the middle of the street, or if they you know, if the light is not on them or whatever. Like, you know, those are some reasons I kind of came up with. But I just feel more comfortable walking in the middle of the street. Like, I don't know what it is, I've always been like that. And yeah, but so yeah, I basically just started to pick up and see a lot of different patterns. And I think it has to do with just like, my third house is in Scorpio anyway, in the Scorpio season right now, and the third house deals with familiarity, what's familiar to you, people, places, and things that are familiar to you. And then it's like, once you know who you are, and then once you have what you have, the third house is like what you know about what you have or whatever. So it's like, what I know about my environment, what I know about these different places and stuff like that, what I know, like, even what I was talking about in an earlier video where I was just talking about Section 8, my experience with Section 8 and how it was over West. And, you know, I'm gonna do another video to kind of like, better explain like some things and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just like a lot of different patterns and things that I've noticed, like yeah, like patterns and like logos and companies, patterns and stores and where they're at, patterns with how the streets are set up, where it points to certain things. And okay, so about this particular area right here, so this area is very unique between where I just came from and on the way to Rio Piedra. And it kind of reminds me of, in Mayagüez, there's like a split bridge between like the university and the university and the other like the other residential area on the other side, basically. And it's like split by a bridge or whatever. The bridge will be like right here, and it has like a gate and like a door, and you walk up it, and then on the other side you go down the steps, and it leads to the university and like Popeyes and stuff like that. But out here, this lake is like it's not necessarily popular and known or whatever. Like, a lot of people don't necessarily know about this. Well, I'm not gonna say they don't know, but I'm just saying, like, I can't really Google this. Like, I can't really look up this particular lake and find it, and this is what, you know what I'm saying? So for as city of an area of where I live, where the beach is not nearby, and it's really city, like, there's a lot of different stores, a lot of different people driving, walking, talking, driving bikes and stuff like that. I don't really see lakes like that, like in this urban residential city area I've been living at, unless I go all the way to the beach or whatever. So I really like this is here. And also the vibe and the calmness of this area, like, it's a complete transition. Like, it's like over there it's like city, a lot of people, everything, noise, commotion. Right here is calm, tranquil, like very peaceful. You get what I'm saying? And like, I really like this neighborhood too. And I'm glad that and so it's a lake on that side too. But I'm glad that you know how sometimes, like, you might think like okay, let's say a person who only knows to drive, like, they don't know anything about having to walk to go to different places. All they know is to be in a car and to be driving or whatever. There's a lot of things, like, from the perspective of a person who's always in a car and drives, that you don't see, that a person walking around can see and can experience. And you can go at your own speed, and you can go at your own pace, and you can be as flexible as you want. You can be in the sidewalk if you want. You can be in the middle of the street if you want. You know, like, you can just have like these adventures where it's like you can just be and do your own thing. And that's why I love walking. I love walking because, especially when I pass and I find things I did not expect to find, you know, like when I look up things, like from my house, I looked up like how to get to the housing office, like how long it takes to get there, and it's like an hour, and I'm like, okay, that's not bad, you know. And it's either starting to rain again or it's the water from the trees. This is so fucking beautiful to me. And it's basically like in English it's like a gazebo or whatever, but I think in Spanish it's gazebo maybe. But yeah, this is such a beautiful ass fucking area to me. Like this is the type of area where like I might bring my hammock or something, and you know, just like swing on my hammock, read a book, like start a motherfucking campfire or something like that. Like when I start to get to own and purchase houses and shit like that, this, like, I love variety. So like you know how I explained about like the hustle and the bustle in the city and the streets area on the other side, and then right here it's like a split between. So right here it's like tranquil and nice and calm and not that many people, and that's the thing, like I was saying before, I always walk in the middle of the street or whatever, but like it's certain areas where I know I don't have to. Like right here, I know I don't have to walk in the street because the sidewalk is available. Like sometimes I walk in the middle of the street because it makes more sense for me to get around and do what I'm doing. But like it's certain areas like this where I could walk on the sidewalk, you know. Like sometimes I might walk in the middle of the street because there might be a car that's blocking whatever, so I'm gonna have to end up being in the street anyway. So I'm like, I might as well stay in the street. But right here, this side is not even the residential side, so it's not gonna be no cars parked over here unless for a specific reason, like they working on the house or something, so they decided to park across the street. But yeah, like I love the things that you can find when you're going on a journey and you're going on an adventure and you're finding different stuff or whatever. So like that's why I said, like, the perspective you have from driving in the car all the time 24/7 is different than when you're outside and when you're walking, right? But it's never too good to be too far on a polar shift. So it's like I feel like my appreciation for all of this and my ability to be able to, like, you know, just appreciate all of this and every obstacle, every challenge, everything I go through, right? It's like I'm able to appreciate it so much that it can prepare me for other things as well, where I don't have to be too far on a polar shift about anything because I understand both sides and stuff like that, whatever. You get what I'm saying? So like when I first was walking this way and I seen this, it reminded me so much of like when I was going to camp or whatever. It was like the camp was like upstate New York, and it was like a big old lake. It was like a lot of woods area, and it was tense and it was calm. It was very different than how any of us lived on a regular basis. So the kids that went to that camp are from all these different city areas, like the Bronx, Long Island, Harlem, Bridgeport, Connecticut, like different places like that. And they took all of these city kids and they put them in like a environment very similar to this, where it's nothing but grass and it's nothing but all of this. So it's like I feel like I was able to gain a sense of appreciation for my environment and for travel and for different walks of life, how different people live, how different people think. Like I always thought it was cool that like I live where I live at, and that's what it's like for me, and you live where you live at, and that's what it's like for you. You get what I'm saying? Like, so it's like it's cool that we all met up and we're all in this environment. So okay, so again, like what I was saying about like Scorpio, like I have Scorpio in the 3rd house. You get what I'm saying? And not only do I have Scorpio in the 3rd house, but I have a Scorpio stellium in the 3rd house. So it's like my Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, Pluto, North Node, Juno, all of those planets I have in Scorpio in the 3rd house. And so Scorpio is fixated water. So it's like being fixated on your emotions and feelings. And you know, when you are set on a feeling, how you feel about something and you hold on to it, it becomes an emotion or whatever. So when you're fixated on that emotion, that's what the Scorpio is about or whatever. So when you have that in the area of life of the third house, which is the third house, familiar places and faces, it's like long journeys like this, walking hours and hours to go to different places and do different things is not as difficult for me as it might be for other people. Like, where somebody might be like, oh, like, okay, that could be something I could do or whatever. And like for me, it's like I'm looking forward to the things that I will discover and that I will find along the way, because it deals with my surroundings. It's like when it comes to any familiar place, or it doesn't have to be familiar, like I can just become familiar with it one time, like I walked this way one time and now I'm walking my way back and I didn't use the GPS or anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's like when I was younger and when I'm driving and stuff like that, because I'm so fixated on the actual GPS and making sure I turn down the right streets and stuff like that, it can be difficult for me to remember all of the routes and the steps and the different streets I went down, because I'm inside of like a car, inside of a vehicle, like inside of a like fixated kind of vehicle that is not something that I created necessarily, so it's different when you are just using this vehicle as your body and how you're able to look around and what you're able to see and and stuff like that. It helps me remember things more, and I'm actually building that skill. I'm building that skill of like, before I had this flaw or before this was difficult for me and I thought certain things dealing with my environment was difficult for me, when really once I tapped into that, I see how much I actually know about my environment, how I can appreciate my environment and the things I learn and the things I see. Like I can go on a 2-3 hour walk, you feel me, with fucked up shoes. You get what I'm saying? Like shoes with holes in it, like fucking Crocs. You get what I'm saying? Like I can walk long distances in shoes that aren't necessarily designed for that. My ankles and all of that shit can be really fucked up, and I will still be able to walk and I'll still be able to do certain things. And so when you have third house in Scorpio, that means fourth house in Sagittarius. And so fourth house is like your home, like how you nurture and care about yourself, care about shit or whatever. And Sagittarius is like traveling. You get what I'm saying? So I feel at home when I'm traveling. It don't matter if I'm in a motherfucking 18-wheeler traveling from New York to California, or if I'm traveling from Florida to Puerto Rico in a plane, or I'm fucking in Puerto Rico traveling from Rio Piedra to Isla Verde, or Rio Piedra to fucking Guaynabo, or someplace. Like, it's like I can appreciate so much about those journeys, and the only real obstacle to me be like, sometimes my feet be hurting, but I know how to ignore that shit and to be able to appreciate the journey for what it is. Like I don't know what it is. Like I just fucking love traveling. And then there's traveling internally, of course, because everything I'm talking about, me even using my voice to say this shit, me being out here using this human vessel, this body, this physical body, holding my phone right now, talking about all the shit I'm talking about right now, it's like that, all of that came from an internal space. Before these houses was built, before these people was driving these cars, before these buildings and these roads was paved, all of that came from an internal space first. So it's like when you can internal travel, when you know who you are, when you know what it is that you have going on inside of you, and like the starting point of shit, it's like it makes things a lot clearer. And as I'm saying that, right, I see this sign, which means like the value maximum is like 25. 2 and 5 come together, make 7. And 7 is like I'm a Libra, you feel me? So like the 7th house, birth Libra, which has to do with one-on-one communication. But anyway, I was saying that at that moment where I said what I just said, because about the change of environment, because it's synchronicities. It's like This neighborhood is very tranquil. This is still the same neighborhood I was talking about before when I said it had the lake or the river or whatever. It's very nice. Like, it's very calm. Like, I could talk to a certain like I could talk like this and people in a house can hear me. You get what I'm saying? Like, but like where I just came from, I can't just be talking and people hear me unless they walking past me. But this environment is like I could be talking just like this and somebody could be hearing me. You get what I'm saying? Where it's like where I live at right now, you gotta really listen to hear people personal conversations and shit like that, unless they're purposely yelling or something. It's like all of these things play a factor into this environment. All of this was created from an internal space first, and then all of this leads to how like I said, I have Scorpio stellium in the third house, and it's Scorpio season right now, so everything related to the third house, my environment, my surroundings, familiar faces and places, and all of that shit is like super emphasized. But also too, it's like okay, so my drawings and my art and stuff, I noticed that everything I be drawing, because I don't think about something, I want to draw this and then I draw it, like until recently. You feel me? Like I've always just drawn, scribbled whatever the fuck I wanted to scribble until I didn't want to no more, and I look at it and I see what it is that I drew and I learn from it that way or whatever. But as of recently, I've been combining that, what I normally do, with like learning different stuff about perspective, and I would learn that and I would draw about that first, and then I would add my normal scribbling of what I normally do or whatever, and I put it together, and it kind of teaching me and showing me different things about this environment when you step and you go outside, but from an internal space first, because I'm already learning about my spiritual nature when I'm drawing and I'm scribbling and I'm painting and I'm not thinking. Whatever I'm drawing and writing on that piece of paper comes from an internal space. That's my spiritual nature. That's where it's coming from or whatever. So the things I choose to learn on top of that is how I'm able to put it together like a alchemist or something like that, you know. So it's like it makes sense of why I live in the environment I live in right now, why I experience certain things and I have the certain characteristics and I have the certain attributes that I have in general. You feel me? Why like I can notice how, like, you know, things start to pick up. Like this is like the you know, like this is the highway in between right here. This is like buildings being constructed. This is more graffiti now. Like this is like the environment completely changes. You get what I'm saying? So it's like I can appreciate so much about different environments, and like I don't know necessarily why people first get into like real estate and stuff like that, and like property owners and whatever. So this is another neighborhood called Santa Rita. So like I said, it would be Urbanacion URB Santa Rita if you were writing an address. But anyway, so yeah, like I can just appreciate so much about an environment. Like, oh yeah, I was saying like people that get into real estate and stuff like that, it's like people that do architecture, that type of shit. It's like right now I'm starting to have all these different epiphanies about like how to build the world and different things that I'm creating, that I've been creating, things that I can create, what it kind of builds to, and how I can put it all together. And you know, about how being 28 and Saturn in general is about what you spending your time on, how you building structure, routines, and how you building boundaries and limits and shit like that. It's like a combination of all these things. Like where I've walked down this street of where I'm at now, in the neighborhood I'm going towards plenty of times, and it would be different things on my mind. One day I might be walking down the street in a pattern and routine for a couple months because I'm going to a job or whatever, where I'm going into another routine and pattern and expansion of my art or my creativity or whatever. I'll be walking down these same streets another day or that same day, and I would have a painting or something I drew inside walking around with me, and I would take that picture that I drew and walk around with it and take a picture of it outside as I'm walking around in other environments. When I first came to Puerto Rico, when I was in Aguadilla, I took my paintings I drew in Florida with me, and I walked around with it and took pictures of it. And then another day I would be walking down these same streets, and I would have my trombone in my hand, playing my trombone, playing music. So I would walk around with these things that I created from an internal space, on top of me having a better understanding now about all of these internal things that I've been creating, habits I've been had, ways about myself. It's just like, when you start to really fucking know yourself, it's an understatement when you say you a bad motherfucker. That's not just a fucking phrase and something cool to say. It's like the cool shit you make and create and the things you learn about yourself is different when you're walking down the street, you going to school, you going to work, you going to these different places, and you trying to fit in. Like, you trying to be like everybody else, or you trying to see why people look at you a certain way, or you trying to see why shit is the way it is, and you're trying to figure out things, and all this shit is different. Like, what's on your mind, the things you have on your mind, and the things you pay attention to. That's why it's important. You don't want to have anything on your mind that you do not want to manifest, you know. And it's like, it's a lot of things I learned about this journey with like securing Section 8 and stuff like that. And it's also a lot I learned about the 8 energy in general when it comes to the 8th house, birth in Scorpio, those behind the scenes, those personal things you do and you have going on within you that don't nobody else know about. And then me being 28, you feel me? And 8 and 2, you feel me, come together, 8, 9, 10. That's one with more space, individuality, spending your time on individuality, you feel me? Like, and then Saturn about to go into Pisces soon in March. So it's like, there's like a emphasis of like boundaries, restrictions, and limits when it comes to Piscean things, like, you know, creativity, imagination. It's like, you can see this expansion. It's like, we can talk about the alignments, and we can talk about the planets and the astrological this and the astrological that, but it's really about your spiritual nature first. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's really where you at spiritually. I've walked in the middle of this alley right here, and I've danced. I walked in the middle of this alley playing my trombone. I walked in the middle of this alley to get to the Section 8 office to build some more structure about my housing and stability and stuff like that. You feel me? I've walked down these streets without any type of purpose or anything. Like, I'm just walking around, exploring. I'm walking around and I'm adventuring out. You feel me? And I'm learning these different things about this environment and about this neighborhood. And, you know, I think it's starting to rain a little bit more now. But this is the train station right here. You feel me? Like, it's so much character and beauty and creativity and things about every place I've been just because of how I'm able to see it. You get what I'm saying? So it's not what you do is how you do it. It's not what you see is how you see it. You get what I'm saying? Like, this shit is beautiful to me. This graffiti is fucking beautiful to me. Like, for me to be able to have the eyes and have the mindset that I do, regardless of what language I'm speaking, regardless of what I have on, regardless of what I have on my mind or where I am, you feel me? It's like everything is coming from an internal nature, you know? So it's just like, I'm just starting to appreciate and be more grateful and aware of everything I've been doing and what it builds up to and how everything aligns and makes sense. You get what I'm saying? Like, certain things might not have worked out for you simply because, like, I could say something cliche like, that didn't work out because there's something better in store for you. That's not a simple, I mean, yes, it's simple, but I mean, like, there's so many ways and places that same concept can be taken to. You feel me? Because it's times where like I said, you thinking and you trying to figure out how you could fit in versus just being yourself and being able to see what it is that you see, how you able to see it. You feel me? Like you being able to be who you are and focus on, you know, like sometimes like I have a Virgo rising, you know what I'm saying? So it's like when it comes to that first house individual, like, or whatever, it's like I can be perceived and see other shit, like I'm worried or concerned about other people and what other people have going on and stuff like that. So sometimes when you're in those spaces, not sometimes, all the time when you're in those spaces of where you over worrying, overthinking, over analyzing, you can manifest certain individuals who's playing out certain things, and you might be like, where the fuck is this coming from? Why did I manifest this individual who cares so much about this shit that don't fucking matter? And it can be because the shit that you caring about, that it don't even look like you caring about that. Like, if you hold on to a feeling, if you hold on to this thought about a random stranger, you just walking down the street, what this person thought when you did this and that, all these different things, it accumulates and it becomes something, you know? So that's why it's important to let go. That's why it's important to let go and be able to appreciate your environment and be fulfilled. Like, I know that the full moon is not until November 8th, and with every full moon is always an emphasis in being fulfilled. And it's like when you know who you are and know what you have going on, when you fulfilled all the time, you feel me, 24/7, you are fulfilled with yourself. It's like, that's why I said it's from your spiritual nature first. As long as you fulfilled and you happy and you content with who you are inside, none of that other shit even matters. Like, none of that shit matters. And the things you're able to see in the physical realm, just based off of you having a better understanding and knowing of who you are, that's when it's those things where it's so good and unimaginable and all that shit, more than you can imagine. You feel me? So like, I'm just grateful that I have the awareness and that I have the understanding and that I have the just, you get what I'm saying? So like, yeah, this is, I guess you could call this like a spiritual walk, you feel me? Like, where I'm coming from a place where I'm building these certain routines and patterns and structures and limits or whatever, and learning to have a better understanding of stability and dotting my I's and crossing my T's and getting to the nitty gritty and all that shit, you feel me? And in a spiritual walk, me walking around and having appreciation for my surroundings and shit like that. So this is from someone who has a big ass fucking stellium in Scorpio, a big ass fucking stellium in Scorpio in the 3rd house. You feel me? This is my perspective, and this is what I have going on with me. And just know and just remember that everything is coming from an internal spiritual place first, and you do not have to focus on what anybody else got going on. You feel me? You focus on yourself, what it is that you want to manifest and bring into this world and into the physical realm, and everything cool. So that's the end. That's it.